Muffled train horns blared in the distance. They had to be miles off, and yet they still breached Dim's bedroom walls. Cars drove by, their headlights illuminating the barren walls for mere seconds before returning them to darkness. Slouching on the end of his thin mattress, Dim felt his back ache. He hid beneath the fuzzy cotton blanket, holding on for dear life, clutching the fabric between his sticky fingers. The blanket smelled of lilac, bringing memories of his mother to the forefront of his mind. Dim blinked hard, rubbing his eyes. Rubbing turned to scratches, which turned to clawing. Like a slideshow, all he could see was his mother. He leapt to his feet, throwing the blanket against the wall. His legs trembled, barely able to stand. The digital clock beneath the window read 2:32 a.m. As another pair of headlights careened down the street, his room lit up once more. For just a moment, he caught his reflection in the window. Blood. Blood stained his face, his azure eyes piercing through. Dim's eyes bulged. His chest hammered each beat, hammering against his ribs like it wanted to burst from his chest. Slowly, he raised his hands. Crimson stained his fingertips, trickling down his forearms like dark streams. His jaw fell, staring into palms he no longer recognized. "What the fuck?" Dim whispered. Dim sprinted around the twin-size bed frame and shoved through the door. It creaked, slamming into the wall and rattling the quaint building. He crashed into the wall, turning right down the pitch-black hall. Each step made the thin floors groan. Seconds later, broom handles from below tapped the floor. "Keep it down, I'm trying to sleep," a muted voice screamed from beneath the floorboards. Dim barely heard them as he reached the end of the empty hallway and burst through the door on his left. The icy tile of the bathroom floor felt like an electric shock through his right foot. Looking down, he saw his right foot was bare, while his left still wore a dirtied boot that had been tracking dark prints throughout the house. He fumbled for the light switch, smearing blood across the white walls. As they flickered on, the fluorescent light buzzing overhead rang through his mind, blinding him. The faucet squeaked, freezing water releasing. Pouring the half-empty soap dispenser on his hands, he scrubbed furiously at his fingers. Slowly, the reddish-brown stains came loose. Next, he dug at his face until his flesh was raw. "It's not coming out," Dim thought, scraping away at his face. "Why is it not coming out?" After a minute, the stains remained. Without thinking, he turned and pulled open the shower curtain. He climbed into the spotless tub fully clothed. Turning the faucet, hot water instantly tore through the pipes, burning him slightly. He shook in place, enduring the pain. Against his raw skin, it felt like sandpaper against his face. His heavy breaths echoed off the tight walls surrounding him as he stood unsteadily. Rusty water scalded his back and soaked his clothes. Tim slid down into the fetal position, rocking beneath the torrent, like a child waiting for punishment. In the blink of an hour passed. The water had long since turned cold when Dim finally stirred. Shivering, he climbed from the tub, his waterlogged clothes clinging to his skin. He slipped on the wet tile but caught himself against the door frame before stumbling into the hallway. The shower still ran, quieted by the halls. He dripped with every step, squishing through the house. Reaching his room, his eyes landed on the clock. 4:02 a.m. Dim rubbed his eyes again, as if it was some trick his vision was playing on him, though no matter how much he rubbed, the clock only ticked to 4:03. Finally, his gaze shifted down the hall toward the kitchen and past his mother's room. The kitchen light flickered, sporadically lighting the house. A strange shadow sprawled across the floor, illuminated by the light. Dim felt his pulse through his temples. Slowly, he inched down the hall. On his right, His mother's bedroom door sat slightly open, like it always was. "Mom," Dim whispered, pushing the door ever so slightly and peeking his head through. It squeaked quietly across its rusted hinges. The room was dark. The queen-size mattress sat in the center, sheets sprawled about haphazardly. The wooden nightstand beside her bed had all 3 drawers ripped open. Stepping inside, his boot caught on something cylindrical. As the flickering kitchen light peered into the room, it illuminated small pieces of brass tossed across the floor. Bending down, pulling the object from beneath his boot, he found a bullet. It fell between his fingers, clinking against the ground, rolling over the hardwood floors. Climbing to his feet, he tore up the bed sheets. Nothing. His breath bounced off the walls around him again. Water fell from the bridge of his nose and the tips of his hair, soaking the bed. Slicking his hair back behind his ears, his gaze landed on the bizarrely shaped shadow cast around the living room floor just a few feet beyond his mother's bedroom. Taking another deep breath, he rummaged through the top drawer of the nightstand. Inside, a handgun magazine and bullets rolled around. Damn it, Dim thought. Where is her gun? Where the fuck is she? The silence of the house was broken. Faint, unrecognizable laughter stemmed from the kitchen. It stopped as fast as it started. Stepping through the doorway, he looked out at the living room. The house was dead silent. Dim balled his hands into fists, his legs quaking. "Mom?" Dim said, slightly louder this time. The shadow gently swayed gracefully. The relentless hum annoyed Dim like a fly that just won't go away. Before he fully rounded the corner, his bare right foot splattered into a pool of thick liquid. Blood. It took him a moment to register what the warm substance was encapsulating his foot. "Mom!" Dim screamed, running around the corner, slipping and falling to his face. His brain rattled as his eyes adjusted to the light. His hands braced, landing in the same pool, staining almost instantly again. Above, he felt a presence waiting for him. He climbed to his knees, keeping his eyes locked on the ground. Everything in his body told him not to look. Each muscle begged him to get out of there. All his heart wanted was to leave, but he knew he couldn't. Inch by inch, his gaze rose. He wished he never looked up. Looming above him, like standing beneath a statue, was his mother. The light bulb, which dangled on the end of the thin wire, wrapped around her throat, breaking the skin. Her eyes were bulbous and bloodshot, veins popping across her forehead. Ever so gently, she swayed back and forth in unison with the shadow. The handgun, which Dim looked for minutes prior, sat wedged halfway down her throat. Tears stained her cheeks as her broken teeth sat beneath her dangling feet.